Good morning to everybody. Today we have a special treat for our listeners. This is the person that I've been waiting so long to have a talk with. Her name is Anna Plaksiienko, and I'm really happy and excited about this event today. So Anna, for those who don't follow you on Instagram and for those who don't know you, could you please tell who are you and what you do in your life?
Yeah. Hi, Tatiana. Hi, everyone. First and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to have this nice chat with you and to share anything you're interested in with you and with the listeners. So yeah, my name is Anna. I'm currently based in Manchester and I've been into teaching for over 15 years now. I'm very much into continuous professional development, and basically my two areas of expertise are teaching advanced levels and teacher training. So this is something I'm very passionate about, I'm very enthusiastic about, and I can talk for hours about it. So I don't know how much time we have today, but I do hope that we can cover lots of interesting issues.
Yeah. Let's start from the very beginning. What sparked your interest in English? If you come back to your early days, your early years as a child, how did it happen that now you love English so much?
I'd say it wasn't really what, but it was rather who. It was my mom who sparked my interest, because when I was a child, she is an English teacher herself. She doesn't teach anymore, but she used to. And we always play different sorts of games and everything. And she very gently introduced some English into my daily life, daily routine. And that's basically where I take my inspiration from.
Nice. Okay. And then when you entered university, how did you make a decision? What was your major at those times?
It was probably one of those subjects that I was very good at, obviously, and I was good at all subjects pretty much, yeah, but English was always something that I was very, very passionate about and very keen on, and I knew that I want to connect my life somehow with English so that I keep having English in my life. So it was kind of a very narrow choice, to be honest with you, for me. I never considered going to other cities to study. I studied in Vinica, and we basically have either medical university, well, teacher training university, or trade or polytechnic university, which is not really my thing. That's why that was kind of the choice. And to be honest with you, I've never thought I'm actually going to teach, because I've always said, as many teachers do, I'm sure, that I'm going to be an interpreter or things like this, and I'm not going to teach. Yeah. But then I tried it when we had this practice at year 4, year 5. Yeah, we had this practice. Then I did my master's. I taught university students, and I absolutely loved it, and I never stopped.
Mm-hmm. And when did you understand that you were cut out for teaching? What was the point that you understood, like, yes, I want to be a teacher?
Only after I tried it did I understand that this is something I want to do. And especially working with adults, right? It wasn't immediately that this realization came that this is going to be my niche in the future, but I think I owe it to like my first work experience. I worked at the university, so I immediately started working with well, adults, yeah, adolescents, and it was really great. I loved it because they always had really smart conversations, and it was amazing. And I thought that it's something I can help them, in their near future, and I can help them shape whoever they want to be, whatever they want to be, and express themselves in English. And I could see, this immediate results, and I found it really, really rewarding. And to me, that was probably this sign moment that I realized that this is going to be my niche.
Yeah, that's true. But working for like state university could be really challenging. I worked at a university myself in 2 universities, and I know that like I quit it after 3 years of teaching at university because I felt that I was so limited in choices and in my creativity. I had to follow this programs and curricula. What about you? What made you leave university and take the job?
Absolutely the same experience. You feel so limited, so restricted in anything at all. You can't really, develop I mean, you can develop professionally, right? Because you need to grow, you need to have all this degrees and everything, right? But at the same time, it's also theoretical, unfortunately. I really do hope that there is a change in modern approaches and everything in terms of university practices. But at that point, well, it was 15 years ago, it was super theoretical and it was hardly ever, practical. Even attending different conferences and everything, it was a very different experience to attending conferences these days, like international conferences that I do all the time, right? And that's why I felt that I'm kind of not burning out. It wasn't a burnout at that point because I just started, right? I was so passionate. I wanted to try everything, but I wasn't really allowed to try anything, right? And then I was offered a job at a private school, which is, of course, was very different from a university thing. And I was hesitant about, changing. So at some point I was trying to combine the two. I was doing university in the morning and then this private school in the evening. And then I saw actually that there is more, potential, more development in, private sector basically. And then gradually I kind of switched into private.
Mm-hmm. So did you continue teaching, like working for a private language school as a teacher first, right?
Yeah. As a teacher and then as a director of studies, as an academic manager and a teacher trainer. And I think that gave me an incredible boost, in experience because I could have this hands-on experience working with all kinds of ages, different categories, different contexts. Yeah, we had business English, we had, well, obviously teacher training, then teenagers, exam preparation, kids, yeah, because school offered a wide range of services, really, so I could really try and see what worked for me, yeah, because obviously if you speak the language, you can teach pretty much anyone, right? But at the same time, you need to know the psychology, the methodology of working at a particular level, right? And then you never know what works for you unless you try it, yeah? There are people who are just, as you said, cut out for a particular age group and they are brilliant at it. They don't really need to switch, yeah, but they need to try it to know, yeah? So I did try a little bit with kids, a little bit with teenagers, loved teenagers, by the way, then exam prep. As I said, we had business English for English for specific purposes. We worked with different companies, especially agriculture companies based in Vinica a lot. So that was an interesting experience as well. But again, that's working with adults, yeah. And then my responsibilities basically encompassed working with teachers because I did teacher training. And then I thought, and I saw basically that teachers require not just methodology, but also English practice, yeah, just general English practice or exam preparation classes. And that's why I had like 2 branches that I started doing.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel being a deputy director and being responsible for the whole team of teachers? Like actually to be responsible for everything, like programs for development. Was it very challenging?
I'd say I have such mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, it's so amazing. It's exciting because you work with a team, you work with a group of people, you have a lot of opportunities to actually unite them, yeah, so that they work as one mechanism, at, well, this particular school, right? We had lots of team building activities and trips and things like this. I loved organizing those and dealing with those. But at the same time, of course, it is stressful because you live at work, right? You come early in the morning and you leave late, yeah, and you are the one who solves all the problems, be it with teachers, kids, parents, administration, everything is on your shoulders, yeah. And then, of course, the academic part, the curriculum, the testing, assessment, hiring teachers, hiring and firing, I would say, as well as also kind of you oversee many, many things. So on the one hand, yeah, it's an amazing experience because you learn so much about different processes. You become so flexible, you become stress resistant, you can work under pressure, you can work in any circumstances. So you learn how to solve problems. Yeah, and I think this shapes you as a personality, not just at work, but even gives you some life experience as well, like to, think on your feet and just deal with problems. But on the other hand, because you do so many things, you can't really stream your energy into something that you really truly love and enjoy, because so many other things, they distract, they take up your time, yeah, and you just deal with some nuances and details that just take away all the day. So yeah, at some point I realized that I truly, truly enjoy working with English teachers. Yeah, be it general English classes or be in teacher training. But this is something that I find, joy and reward in. And this is something that I wanted to dedicate my time to and, well, grow professionally in that sphere, right? This is something that I really, truly wanted to do. And luckily, I had the chance to develop in that area and, well, help other teachers.
Yeah. Turning to your professional growth and development, what has been your most valuable professional development experience and why?
That's a really tough question, honestly. One, I would say, I think every opportunity to grow professionally is invaluable, right? Because sometimes you attend this conferences or go to some sessions or watch a webinar, like, oh my God, I know everything here. There is nothing new, right? But on the other hand, even just validating your ideas and knowing, oh yeah, that's the same thing that I do is also valuable. But then you know that you're moving in the right direction, right? So there is nothing really that can just go unnoticed, right? So every single little thing counts, I would say, right? And the more the better, because when you don't know much, every little helps, and it helps you to kind of build, well, some sort of understanding how to teach in general, right? But then the more you learn, the more options you have, and you can choose then, right? Do I really want this communicative approach, or do I want a mixture of lexical and communicative, or call it eclectic approach, and so on and so forth, right? Then you can just really see what works better for you. Then, because there are so many teachers who learn something about, for example, dogming, right? And then they start complaining about it, that it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work in certain contexts, but maybe it does in others. Yeah. So the more you learn, the better, because you get to analyze and choose. One of the most valuable things for me was definitely Hugh Deller's session. And when I just first kind of touched upon this lexical approach and Hugh's approach in terms of teaching, that was probably a pivotal point in the way I teach. Yeah, because I used to teach the way my university teachers taught me, the way I learned while preparing for TKT, yeah, when I attended other classes myself as a student, let's say, right, so preparing for CPE, for instance, yeah. But then I realized that the way some things are taught, they just don't work, yeah. And how many times has it happened when we keep teaching the same present simple and they keep making mistakes, yeah? Why? Because probably we make focus on some other things rather than the things that really matter. So I would say that, well, his courses, his classes, his webinars, and his training were probably something that has shaped me as a teacher.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been using his books in your classes? I know that you're a big fan of Outcomes and other books which are published by him. How long has it been?
I'm a massive Outcomes fan. Yeah, not paid for it, but I can promote and advertise the books because I truly, truly enjoy them. Teaching them, working with them. How long? Oh my God, it's been years. 6, 7-ish years probably. Yeah, we taught using the second edition last year when they just were fresh. We switched to third edition, and this year a third edition became available in Ukraine as well, which made it easier, because last year when it was just printed here in the UK, it was a bit of a challenge, because I ordered books here in the UK, then I shipped them to Ukraine or other countries in Europe where my students are based, so it was a bit pricey, but definitely worth it. So yeah, probably 6, 7-ish years for sure.
Yeah, and are there any issues in these books which you definitely like a lot and something that you think should be improved in some way?
Well, as in any course book, there are things that work better, things that work worse. Yeah, but we need to keep in mind that that any course book is your map. Yeah, the way you're using it is up to you, because even though I've been using kind of the same book, right, for many years, every lesson and every group has a different lesson plan, right? Because I know that students in every group, even at the same advanced level, yeah, they are different. Yeah, somebody needs more speaking practice. Somebody tends to overuse C2 vocabulary, for example, which can sometimes be a problem as well, because it's not always appropriate. Yeah. to use all the fancy words. And sometimes vice versa, they know all these words, but they don't use it. So we need to think of more kind of opportunities to practice this. Yeah, sometimes students are really super fluent, but some things can be changed and said better or more, you know, in a realistic way. So I would say what I really like about it is the rich vocabulary, of course. Yeah, that it has very up-to-date, very modern, very crisp vocab, something that is actually used a lot in formal language, in informal language, in everyday conversations. So this is really great because I used to teach using, well, Speak Out. Then back in the day there was face-to-face, yeah, but that's the thing of the past. I think Speak Out is still kind of popular with teachers, but not all vocabulary from there was very, you know, useful or spoken, and something was very bookish, something that is not really used anymore, you know. So the updated language, I would say, is amazing. And also in the 3rd edition, they do this videos. And what I like there is the focus on different accents. Yeah, you can hear the variety of the British accents, or not just British, any accents, right? And that's amazing because, again, some students' books, they focus on the listening of like this pure British RP pronunciation or whatever, like the classic Queen's English, right? But how many people actually speak Queen's English? Yeah. So students need to be introduced to the diversity, and I think Outcomes does it brilliantly.
Yeah. You're now located in Manchester, and do you feel that they have a specific accent? Did you need some time to get used to that accent when you came?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, every region over here has their own, well, accent, I would say, right? And it's really hard to say that this is difficult and this is easy, because it, again, depends on who is it difficult for. Yeah, for people who live there, it's easy, right? But for people who come, it's just, it is slightly different, right? Because they tend to pronounce certain sounds in a different way. But so do people in Liverpool, so do people in Birmingham, so do people in Glasgow, and everywhere, right? If you go to any, well, other city, you will hear regional differences everywhere, right? Even London, it has Southern London, Northern London, and even that, you know, brings a bit of diversity. And plus, of course, due to the incredible multinationality of each city, yeah, you can hear such a mixture of all kinds of accents. And to be fair, there are loads of accents that are, well, non-native. Yeah, I really hate the term native speaker because, well, we try not to use it anymore, right? It's kind of it's, I hope it's being on the wane, right? The idea of native speakers, but we need to be ready to certain regional differences. And I think it's important for teachers to know who they teach, yeah, why they teach them. Let's say there are some students over here that I have in Manchester, and they have had lessons with teachers based in Ukraine, for example, or other cities, and they still have problems with listening. Why? Because they don't know how people sound in a particular area, right? So they can equipment with beautiful vocab, grammar, speaking, and everything, but it's important to pay attention to the regional differences. Yeah, once they know what to expect, it's easier. But again, it's something that can be done over the years and during the course, right? We can introduce people to, let's say, the accent from Liverpool, the accent from Birmingham, the accent in Scotland, the accent in Ireland, the accent in southern states of the US and in northern states of the US and in Texas. Yeah, it doesn't matter what accent we actually teach, but it's our job, I think, to introduce them to different accents so that they are ready, that in Texas, they're going to pronounce things like this. Here, you're going to hear things like this. Yeah. And I'm thinking also, talking about accents, that we need to be shifting the focus a little bit from trying to sound as a native speaker, because we're not native speakers, right? We can't sound like them. I mean, we can really try, but it will still be obvious that we're, you know, trying very hard. And I'm thinking that your own accent, you know, accent is the soul of the language, I think. And it can also help, you know, tell stories, and people want to ask you questions, where you come from, you know, why you're here and everything. So I don't think that we need to really, you know, try and try too hard to sound as the king or queen or whoever.
That's true. Actually, your this thought goes along with something that David Crystal once said, that accent is a part of cultural identity and you should always keep it with you, otherwise
Absolutely.
your identity. Okay, then
Yeah.
so today we have a wide range of these conferences and workshops. How do you choose them yourself? Like, what are your criteria? What are your factors that you like read and you think, oh, okay, I need to go there, I need to be there? How do you select them for yourself?
The ones that I attend, you mean?
Yeah. Those that you go to, right?
Yeah. Right. So at first, I was Ukraine we have this wonderful phrase, a blind kitten, and I just went anywhere I heard of, any opportunity I use. The very first one was in Barcelona. I think it was the conference organized by International House. I had no idea where I'm going, why I'm going there, but I just heard conference teachers. Okay, let's go. So that was kind of my very first experience, and of going abroad. Yeah, because in Ukraine, for sure, we have some established institutions. They do teacher training, and you trust them, right? Because they're respectable, and you go join them and you learn something from them. In terms of international events, obviously, unless again you try, you don't really know much. Yeah. So at first I just used every single opportunity I had, and then now as I'm choosing, I'm looking at who the speakers are, who the organizers are, and then whether to go or not depends on who's going to be there, who's going to talk there, right? And again, now my list is pretty narrowed because I have tried and tested pretty many, and I can see where the turnover of people is bigger, for example, in terms of visitors and in terms of speakers, right? The more the better sometimes, but not always. And then now there are two basic organizations, yeah, TESOL and IATEFL, and they all have affiliates in certain countries. So the closest one to you can be Athenia if you want to go somewhere. So I do IATEFL, the one that is based in UK. I go there every year. And then IATEFL Poland because it was close to the Ukrainian border. And that was one of the first kind of international conferences that I went to as well. And then with TESOL, I do Spain and France every year, and Greece as well. So to the teachers who want to go to some sort of events, again, I would recommend checking out the websites of IATEFL and TESOL. They are international associations for English teachers, and just find some regional affiliates. Each of them, they run annual conferences, and then check the list of speakers or the program, and then go and develop.
Right, cool advice.
And grow.
Yeah. Moving on to your experience as a speaker at conferences, what motivated you to start speaking at conferences first?
Again, I thought I saw this as an opportunity to grow, right? Because I was pretty nervous about, public speaking, and sharing my ideas. One thing to share your ideas in, let's say, Ukraine, where you pretty much know teachers' challenges, teachers' problems, teachers' let's say level of methodology and development in general, right? Our teachers are amazing, honestly speaking. They are so advanced in terms of methodology. They are really willing to learn and study and know new things, right? So it was great. And then when I wanted to try myself as a speaker in the international arena, it was a bit challenging. So for me, it was just a challenge that I wanted to take, yeah, and see how it goes and everything, and just overcome my fear of public speaking in front of the international audience, yeah, which was of course challenging because you never know who's going to come to your session, if they are university lecturers or freelancers or primary school teachers. Of course, you always identify who the talk is for, but still, the audience is really, really diverse. Yeah, which makes it challenging, but at the same time, super interesting and fascinating because then you get really different feedback and you get to talk to different people. So what motivated me was probably this kind of challenge that I wanted to take. And I also was, I had my ideas and I saw that it works. And I was really passionate to share it with others. I thought that if it works for me, maybe it can work for others and it can help others, And I wanted to expand my network of teacher friends, yeah, because I don't think that we are, competitors or anything. We are all counterparts, we all aim at the same thing, we all have our own students, and we all want to make their progress better. So I wanted to share that with others.
Yeah, good. And about the topics, how do you choose them? Which topic to present during the conference? For me, this is a huge challenge. Every time I start thinking about the topic of a webinar or my speech or something, I think that it is so common. It is so like usual thing. Like everybody does it, like does the same as I do. Like how to make it unique, how to choose something that would be interesting for everybody, especially on the international stage. Yeah. What is your approach here? How do you pick your topics?
Yeah, right. So I think first and foremost, we need to think of other teachers, put ourselves in their shoes, right? Or think about the problems you face with as a teacher, right? And see what do you personally need help with, right? For example, teaching vocabulary or teaching grammar or teaching speaking or teaching whatever. Yeah, so I'm one of the, like, of course, I talked about teaching lexically, right? And I heard that there was this misconception that many teachers believe that teaching lexically is only about vocab and it's not about grammar, that we need to abandon grammar and stuff like this. So I just wanted to bust this myth and to defy it and to talk about it and just to say, hey, people, we also teach grammar. Yeah, it's just in a different way. So this was something I was interested in, and I knew that many people were confused, about this topic. So this is something that I talked about. Then again, something you are strong at. Yeah, I know hopefully really well how to teach advanced learners. So this was one of the topics that I did as well, because I have lots of experience in it. I had some problems that I faced, something that I tackled, and how I found my way and solution there. And this is something I talked about. So I'm thinking to keep the potential challenges of other teachers in mind, then knowing your strengths and something that you have expertise in. Yeah. For example, I know that some teachers have challenges with teaching reading. Yeah. 8-ish years ago, I did a webinar on teaching reading to primary students, which was pretty successful, and we got really great feedback and everything. But it's not something that I do now, for example, right? That's why I would never choose this topic for a webinar or a talk at the conference anymore, because it's not something I'm doing on a regular basis now. So keep their problems in mind, but at the same time, what you're an expert in, and something that is maybe just emerging. For example, sustainability. Yeah, this year I'm going to talk about sustainability in business English and how to teach sustainability in the classroom, right? Because in some European countries, sustainability is in the curriculum. Let's say my son studies here in school, in Manchester, obviously. And even though he started at primary school here, now he's in high school, all kind of classes, they have this sustainability intertwined, very gently, very nicely, and very productively, right? And they grow up just having the sustainability as a concept in mind. In Ukraine, I remember teaching teenagers environmental protection and global warming and all these problems. They hated this topic. We were just, they couldn't wait till we just skip it, because it was so boring. What can I do? Global warming, who cares, right? So I think, again, this is some of the heated topics, and this is something that no pun intended, something that we need to talk about, and something that our teachers need to keep in mind as well while teaching, and how to implement it and everything. So these are some maybe newer concepts that we need to look at, so that can be an idea as well. Then there is this emergent concept of mediation and hygiene in English language, and how to teach it, how to intertwine it into your teaching and into your curriculum. So these new tendencies and approaches can be of interest as well, right? So something that is interesting for you because you're an expert in it, but at the same time, keeping in mind, the audience, what might be potentially interesting for them.
Yeah, right. You do run webinars right now these days. Do you organize webinars?
Yeah.
Could you please talk a little bit more about the process? How does it look? Like, how do you organize these webinars? How do you plan everything? How much time does it take you to to organize a webinar from point A to point Z? Is it really challenging? A lot of teachers want to try this because this is the chance to share, at least from your home, from your place where you live, going to some conferences. What do you think about that?
It's something that I really like to do because not everybody can travel and go attend conferences, right? Be it in Ukraine or abroad, right? Because it's time consuming. It's, well, money, of course, as well, because you need to spend lots of on, you know, participation, then, well, getting there, travel arrangements and everything, accommodation, obviously. So it's just easier. And it's really nice to connect with different people, right? Like, last year, I did a webinar for teachers in Hawaii. Yeah, I did a webinar at 2 a.m. because of the time difference. It was crazy, but it was such an interesting experience because you connect with people, you know, who are very far from you, right? So it's, you are the one who presents, but at the same time, you learn so much from them as well, right? And this is how you grow professionally also. To me, the challenge is not actually the webinar itself or the content itself, because I, well, do some research, of course, and well, I use my experience, my expertise, and just try to put it together, put the slides, and try to make it as, you know, helpful and beneficial to the listeners as possible. But this is something that I really enjoy doing, so I don't really find it as a big challenge. The challenge to me is always this technical part. I really don't like, you know, this choosing the platform and the payment method and all this technical detail. So I try to delegate that as much as I can, if it is possible, because, well, I'm either not very good at it or I just don't want to spend hours and hours of time on, you know, researching the digital aspect of it. So I think that is the difficult part for me, the technical part.
What about promotion?
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, it did. What about promotion? How do you promote your webinars? Because, like, finding audience in Hawaii requires some contacts or requires knowing the audience or the challenges they have there. How did you manage to get there? Yeah, like, so far?
Yeah, well, I think this is something that conferences help me a lot with, right? Because when you go to the conference, it's not just about going to lectures and learning how to teach vocabulary to primary students or secondary students or exam prep classes, right? It's also about networking and just making connections with people. And if you do not present, you still have this networking opportunities. Yeah, you have coffee breaks when you can just come up to people come up to you and you get acquainted and you share what you do, what they do, and you might collaborate on some projects together. Yeah, you sit together while listening to some lectures, and again, you might have some conversations with them if you're not too introverted after COVID and everything, and you do enjoy speaking with people, then you will definitely be able to make some connections. And then if you do present, then these connections just find you then, right? Because people listen to you. If they like your ideas, then they will come up and either ask for your contact details or give you their contact details. And then eventually they may find you and just ask you to do a workshop. Like I did this talk in Brighton at IATEFL, and then a few weeks later I was contacted by the university in Germany, and they asked me to do the same workshop for the teachers at the university in Germany, because one of their colleagues listened to my talk over there. So it's basically word of mouth, but mostly coming from conferences. Yeah, of course, I know that one of the ways is, well, targeting, advertising on Instagram, promoting things on Instagram, on TikTok. Yeah, this can be a great thing as well, especially if you have a nice following, then you announce and teachers see that what you're going to do. I know that many teachers, they create these Telegram channels. Again, they organize these communities, and then this is their platform where they share their announcements. Yeah, to me, it was mostly through conferencing.
Yeah, you mentioned social media, so let's switch to this topic. I have a couple of questions here. You are very active on your Instagram, very active. You post stories and you post lots of things, especially when you attend different events. How much time of your routine does it take? Is it really time consuming? For me, this is a huge part. Like I'm not ready to share like so much time and to invest into Instagram right now, for example. What about, do you believe that every teacher should have like professional account as a brand on Instagram or on any other social media?
That's such a great question. Do you believe that every teacher has to have it? Yeah, we can discuss modal verbs over here. Love it. Nobody has to do anything because others do it. Yeah, every teacher should do whatever they feel comfortable with. Yeah, if they don't feel comfortable sharing things on Instagram and they have enough students and everything, they don't need, because everybody else does it. Everybody else is a blogger. How many bloggers do we actually need? Yeah, if we put it this way, it's insane, right? And well, I think on the one hand, it's both, a blessing and a curse, because on the one hand, we have so much information, accessible just the end of the hand. But on the other hand, COVID and online education has spawned so many this Instagram gurus that sometimes it's easy to get lost. Yeah, not everybody is actually a nice professional and expert. Yeah. So definitely not everybody has to have Instagram, right? It's about the quality rather than the quantity. And then answering the question about how time consuming it is very time consuming, right? Because even just posting things in your stories, right? It does take time. And then communicating with people, because you don't just talk to yourself, right? You post the stories for people to react, to respond, right? To communicate with people. And then you need to find time to get back to people, which I struggle with greatly. And then also thinking about all this reels and posts and everything, it's a whole strategy. So I think if you want to have students from there, right, or webinars or whatever it is, you need to think first and foremost, what is the purpose of having your Instagram account? What do you want to achieve through it? Yeah, do you want to increase your following? Do you want to have many students from there, or just listeners and readers, yeah, of your post? Do you want to inspire them, or do you want to earn money on your account? Yeah, if you want to inspire others and just share your whatever daily life or daily routine as a teacher, yeah, that's fine. And you can spend as much time as you want on it, or as little time as you want on it. But if you actually want to make money on it, then you need to consider it as part of your job. And in your schedule, you need to think, okay, this is my lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and this is my Instagram, right? So it needs to be in your schedule because it does take time. So first and foremost, think about the purpose. Why do I need it? And then take it seriously if you need it.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about CELTA, which you did. You did it actually already being very experienced and very professional. So the question is, what was the driving force to you to take CELTA at that moment in your life?
Yeah. My CELTA tutor asked me the same question, and when I posted it on my Instagram, that CELTA interview and everything, I had lots of funny messages like, "Are you a tutor or a student?" Because I was very far in my professional development at the moment I decided to take CELTA. Why? Because when I was back in Ukraine, it was really costly. It was pricey, and I didn't really see the point at that moment. Yeah, I didn't really see how it's actually going to change my teaching, why I needed to spend so much money. And then eventually, if I'm into teacher training and everything, I just wanted to see that I'm again moving in the right direction, just validating my things. And again, when you teach for a long time, you get kind of bogged down in the things that you do and in the problems that you might face. And at some point, you just need to have a fresh look. For somebody to give you feedback on your teaching. Not just your ideas that you share, but actual teaching in the classroom and dealing with students, right? So this is something that I was looking for there. It wasn't really the theoretical part, because before joining CELTA, they shared the list of recommended literature, recommended books. And I know that I've read, 95% of those books, right? And so I wasn't really looking for that. But I was really looking for the practical part, and I wanted to hear the feedback to see what I was doing right, what I can, make better for the sake of my students. So this was one incentive that pushed me into doing it. Second, I just wanted a certificate. I just wanted to know I have it. So to me, it was kind of incentive number 2. And incentive number 3, why I was taking it actually here in the British Center, because I know how we teach in Ukraine, and I know how our wonderful CELTA tutors teach in CELTA centers in Ukraine. I was really interested in seeing how teachers from other countries, including the UK, teach. In Ukraine, we're a bit obsessed in a good way or in a bad way, with all the technologies, all the boards and everything. Yeah, we want to entertain our students, make it super exciting and interesting. Yeah. While in the UK, for example, I noticed that they don't really bother with, all this technology stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. I think there is a glitch.
No.
Yeah. Hello.
No, I can hear you. The sound was perfect, just the picture.
Yeah, very nice. Good. That was. Yeah. Just a picture was frozen. Right. So in the UK, I've noticed they don't really bother with all this boards and everything. When I used Jamboard, the easiest of the tools, right? There was like, oh my God, that's such an engaging lesson, But they don't really, bother with Miro or FigJam or any board at all, right? My CELTA tutor gave like the example class using only one Word document, and it was a fantastic lesson. It was a really good lesson because a really good teacher can teach without all the excessive tools, right? But that's a different topic to discuss. In any case, it was really interesting to compare, the approaches that we have, that we are used to, and the approaches that people from other countries have.
Yeah, and could you share any most memorable moments or insights from your CELTA course? Besides teaching was limited. Yeah.
Resources. Yeah, it was really great that we had real students, and it was nice to communicate with them because, again, we had students from all over the world. There were students from Peru and Kazakhstan and Poland and everywhere, so it was really cool because you got to speak with people from all over. And to me, it was interesting that, well, we taught B2 and A2, yeah. And I found A2 more challenging to myself than B2 because obviously I tend to teach higher levels. And that's why to me it was a bit of a challenge because I needed to slow down. I need to downgrade my language a little bit, and just to slow down. So that was interesting. And also one of the nice insights is that sometimes less is actually more. And we need to exploit opportunities during the lesson and see what our learners actually need, and be very flexible, rather than strictly stick to the lesson plan because you have it all written and planned. Yeah, maybe sometimes you need to put that aside a little bit. So that was a really nice hands-on experience when you can actually see what things you can skip and what things you really need to do.
Yeah, and later when you finished your CELTA, did your personal teaching methods change because of the CELTA course and everything that you did there, or you just continued as you were doing before having the experience?
Well, of course, I did learn something and I took away a few things, but mostly I would say that it didn't really change drastically because I was already doing many things, well, obviously, according to, latest methodological approaches and everything that is recommended. Yeah, I knew how to choose between the lesson frames and everything. And again, I think that in Ukraine, for some reason, especially on Instagram, there is some sort of a, I don't know, CELTA bullying or something. Yeah, it feels like if you don't have a CELTA, that you just don't have the right to exist as a teacher in general, right? Which is very, very wrong on so many different levels, right? Because CELTA is great, but if we think about it properly, who is CELTA for? Yeah, CELTA is for people who don't really teach. Yeah, for those who want to learn how to teach. Yeah. If they wanted to, if, for example, people want to get a new job as a teacher, this is the first thing that they do CELTA. Yeah. For us, we go to the university, we spend 5 years and then go to do your master's or something, right, to be a teacher. So 1 month course can't really substitute, the whole university education thing, and plus all the experience that you get, right? So of course it is worth it. Of course people should do it. I'm not criticizing CELTA in any case, of course, but we don't need to just hype so much about it, because there is also Delta, which gives you even more opportunities and freedom and everything, right? But at the same time, don't I think that our teachers shouldn't underestimate their own experience and will to develop their skills, right? Because all of these books are available. They can find them, they can read them, and they can experiment with them, right? So it's not just the CELTA that can, prepare you as a teacher. If you're an advice teacher, that's the best thing to do ever. Yeah, but if you have a lot of experience, especially if you're eager to develop professionally, and if you read all those Jeremy Hammond, Scott Thornberry, and all the gurus in LT books, yeah, if you go to let's say conferences and everything, you will also get lots of opportunities to develop as a teacher. Yeah, so it's not the only thing. It works sometimes, of course. Yeah, in many cases, especially for new teachers, it gives really fundamental knowledge as for how to plan lessons and how to deliver lessons. But at the same time, we need to know when to step aside a little bit and when presentation, practice, production doesn't work. Yeah. So, but again, gaining as much knowledge as you can and then analyzing and choosing what works for you and what not.
Yeah, there are lots of teachers who don't have CELTA, but they're perfect teachers and they like what they do. But
absolutely,
otherwise, a lot of teachers say that CELTA gives them the feeling of theory, so they know how it works and they feel what belongs to what, so they kind of systemize and organize their knowledge. This is what helped me.
Yeah.
And like doing CELTA is really very, very valuable experience for criticizing just the people who
absolutely
can give you feedback, constructive feedback, and also for organizing your knowledge. Because what we study at in Ukrainian universities, it's totally different from what we studied at CELTA. Like it's the same, but it's from a different perspective, and it gives knowledge, it accumulates, and then you understand why you're doing this activity, just for fun or just for some aim.
Yeah,
it gives you clear aim why you do
absolutely.
it. Good. Then going on to your teaching groups, to teaching advanced learners. Which benefits do you find of working with advanced learners? And I know that a lot of your learners are teachers as well. So how do you benefit personally when you teach teachers? And
I love it. I don't know. I love it. I'm so passionate about it. I'm so keen on it. And just the other day, somebody asked me, "How do you not burn out?" Because at some point when I felt this burnout, I really sat down, and considered what exhausts me. Yeah, what things exhaust me in my life, and then I made a list of things, and there were some things related to work, and I realized that they really exhaust me, and I spent time on it, and I don't really see it as a reward, or I don't find much pleasure in doing that. And then I made a list of things at work that actually inspire me, that I want to do. What do I want to do, right? And then teaching English teachers was one of the things that was high on the list, of my priorities, and things that I really find inspiration in and much rewarding, right? And what are the benefits? Oh my God, so many. What are not the benefits? Probably the fact that you get to communicate with the like-minded people, the people who can appreciate what you do, because they are also language teachers and they also know what lesson planning involves, let's say, right? And they can appreciate and value how much, for example, effort you put into certain things. And probably their own outcomes, because very often they come to our classes for, let's say, general English, right? But then they, let's say, take some of the things, some of the techniques, some of the teaching things, and learn from you as a teacher as well. And then the feedback that they share, that they not only do they boost their language, but also they grow as teachers, and I think that's amazingly rewarding, honestly, because this is something that shows you that you are doing something right, that you are moving in the right direction, that you're helping others, not just with their language, but also with their teaching simultaneously. And I think it's just this group of like-minded people that they all have something in common, right? Even though they are all teachers, but obviously everybody works in their own context. Somebody works in private sector, others work in state schools. Again, the age of their students and learners can be different. But at the same time, there are some topics that they can discuss and share, something that works for them, some challenges that they face. When we talk about learning the language, they can approach the situation as learners and as teachers as well, right? And then they get to discuss certain things and they find answers and solutions to certain things. So we immediately have some sort of a community of the like-minded people, and that's really amazing. I have the students who have already passed successfully CAE, who have done outcomes with me, who have done voices with me, yeah, like a few courses already, all of the advanced courses, and they keep on coming because they say that in a way it is a certain form of, you know, a hobby as well, like learning and just being among people who you enjoy talking to, right? Because some people like going to the gym, other people like going to, I don't know, swimming, and other people like coming to classes and speaking English.
Oh, yeah. And which areas do you find it difficult when teaching advanced students, like C1, C2 students? What is challenging for you?
I think it's those skills that are different at this higher levels, right? Because if we talk about, well, reading, listening, writing, speaking skills, they are all covered even at B2, right? And you're already fluent, you already know many things, you already know all the grammatical things, yeah, and points, you know, from Murphy or anywhere. You already know lots of nice vocabulary, and you're very fluent at B2, right? But at the same time, understanding what is different at C1, C2, for example, especially in terms of exam preparation, and what kind of skills they need to pay attention to here, I think this is something that is challenging because not everybody is aware of what is actually tested here at such levels. Yeah, let's say, again, talking about CELTA a little bit, and the skills that they train, right, is how to teach reading or listening for gist, reading for details, reading for specific details and everything, right? While at advanced levels, it's reading for inference or listening for inference. What did the author had in mind? How did they feel? What was their attitude? What was their mood and everything, right? So knowing what kind of questions are expected of you to answer here at this level, yeah, and knowing how to find answers to these questions, how to analyze this information is important, right? Also, one of the not challenges, but something that we pay attention to, for example, developing speaking skills, right, is not just how rich your vocabulary or how rich your grammar is, but also how good of a communication partner you are. Yeah, if you know how to ask each other questions, if you know how to engage in a conversation, somebody who is very shy, if you know how to politely interrupt somebody who is dominating the floor, right, and so on and so forth. So all these communication techniques as well. And in terms of writing also, there are so many things that students at higher levels still need to look at, right? And it's not always about the language, it's just some strategies, some things, knowing what you're expected to know and do at this level.
Mm-hmm. What about you yourself? How do you manage to keep your level so high? What do you do for yourself?
Well, having as much English in your life, of course, as possible, reading a lot, watching something a lot, right? So in our, not just because we live in Manchester, but just because it was a thing in our house, yeah. Netflix, Disney Plus, everything is only in English, right? And that's how my son pretty much picked up the language and started to speak fluently. And this is where you got, you know, just an never-ending and incessant source of language, yeah, not just vocabulary, but just language, is films, documentaries, movie series. So as much as possible of English in your life. And I think what helps a lot also, and what helps my students, for example, at higher levels, is knowing how to deal with, for example, new language. Yeah, what is new language? Is it a new word, or is it new grammar that you learn, a participle clause? Is that new language? What is new language, right? How to notice this language, and then what to do with this language that you notice and that you learn. Let's say, what does it involve, or what does it mean to know the word? Yeah, let's say you come across the word, I don't know, preposterous. What does it mean that you know it? Yeah, do you look up the definition on Cambridge Dictionary? Do you now know it? Yeah, or what does it take? So usually it takes, of course, digging a little bit deeper, looking at collocations, looking at sentences, and seeing how the word works in different contexts. Yeah, what other verbs or what other adjectives, whatever it can exist with together and go along together, and then seeing this different contexts, and again, just noticing it. Yeah, I think it makes it fascinating because there is never a dull moment. There is always a surprise waiting for you. Even if you think that you know the word, you will definitely find something that, ooh, so that's how it can also be used, you know. And I think just being open to this nuances and details is really interesting. For me, what really helps is just being always kind of vigilant, you know, noticing things. I really enjoy reading different comments, let's say on Instagram or Facebook, not for the sake of people's opinions, I hate that, but for the sake of the language. Again, it's such, you know, lively thing because it's fresh, it's coming from, you know, speakers, be it native, non-native, doesn't matter, fluent, just speakers of English. And just noticing what people think and how people express themselves is very interesting as well. And then if you notice something unusual or interesting, again, digging deeper, looking at more examples and so on and so forth. So I think this is something that can help you just expand your language by noticing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, noticing is really good. It helps a lot to see that you grow, actually, to notice the
Yeah.
world.
When you want, yeah, exactly. When you know, I can't read a book or watch a film just as a normal viewer, you know, or reader, because I start, okay, that was unit 3 outcomes, that was unit 9 outcomes, that was, oh, ladies, we've covered this and this, you know. And we have this habit with our students when they take screenshots or pictures of the language that we have come across here, and then share it in our Telegram chats or something. Yeah, that again brings well, more chances to encounter the same word in different phrases and so on and so forth. And just, yeah, when I read, for example, a book just for pleasure, I can't just enjoy the book as a reader because I see it as a linguist. It's like, oh, this is such an interesting stylistic device. This is something that my students, you know, in this or that group would enjoy. I need to recommend it to them. Oh, this is such good language, you know. So it's just a mindset, I think, of how you perceive the language around you.
How do you feel about doing international exams to prove your level, like Cambridge exams or TOEFL or IELTS exams? Have you done any yourself? And do you think that doing exams could be a good motivation to learn C1, C2?
Yeah, I think we come back to the idea of the purpose. Yeah, whatever you do, you need to know why you're doing this. I wouldn't recommend doing it because everybody's doing it. Yeah, but just think about, why do you personally need it? Yeah, because everybody's talking about it and because there is so much hype about, for example, IELTS, or are you actually moving abroad and entering the university? Yeah. So it can definitely be a very, very nice motivation, because when you know that you have this exam date, you're going to study harder, yeah, whether you want it or not, but you're going to be stressed, yeah, about it, and then you will of course work harder and you will put more effort into it, because otherwise it's easy to give up and just think about, you know, coming back to it later maybe, and so on and so forth. So just quitting is much easier when you don't have any sort of a motivation ahead, yeah. But so yeah, they can be a great, you know, source of motivation. But also we need to think, yeah, what do you actually need? If you want just to prove or test or check your level, then for example, Cambridge exams or Pearson exams can be really nice because they don't have an expiration date, right? Then if you actually need to get a job and the requirements are, let's say, IELTS, or enter the university and the requirements are IELTS, or get a visa, for example, and the requirements are IELTS of a certain band, then of course that's something that you would do, right? So having a purpose in mind and finding motivation in that as well. Yeah, I would not recommend it doing just because other people do it, right? Because I think that can be a bit stressful. If you're competitive, then yeah, but if you just see all this successful success on Instagram in other people's stories and you want to do this, what if you fail and then, you know, you just feel bad about yourself? So you need to really want it to get it done, and then see it as motivation. I myself did I did CAE. I was interested in just, you know, validating my own level, because, well, I know that I'm fluent. I know that my language is okay, right? But I wanted to know, how okay is it, you know? Maybe there is something I need to work on more, you know, maybe there's something that I don't notice. Maybe it's not as good as I think, for instance, yeah, and so on and so forth. So I had my own kind of personal demons and doubts and everything. So I just wanted to check. So this is what I did just for myself. I didn't prepare for it. Well, I just, of course, looked through the exam task types. I tried a few tests online, but I didn't attend any CAE preparation groups or anything, and I took it just to see what my current level is like. Yeah. So if this is something that some teachers want to, or students want to do, just to see where they are at, this is a great thing, right? Because they can take a test and then they will see all their 4 skills, for example, including use of English then, and then they will see what things they are great at and they can be proud of. Yeah. Because for some reason we have lots of students with this imposter syndrome and they think that they are not good enough. Yeah. So at this point, probably it's a good way to actually take an exam and see that you are good. Be proud, relax. Yeah. And just pay attention to certain things and certain areas that you are lagging behind, maybe. So just work a bit harder there.
Mm-hmm. Do you speak any other language besides English? Or do you learn any other language?
Well, I would to say that I speak German, but I used to. Now it's very rusty. I understand German and I would probably survive in Germany, but it's definitely nothing anywhere close to English. I speak a bit of Polish. I understand. I can get by in Italian. Mm-hmm. So there are lots of languages that I can get by in, I can survive in the country, but I wouldn't say that I'm, fluent or can speak it easily or something. So English has always been my super favorite language. And I think in a way I'm not proud of, but I think it's sometimes easier for me to speak English than Ukrainian, which I'm not proud of. And I'm actually working on it. I started reading some books in Ukrainian now just to make sure that I can speak my wonderful Ukrainian beautiful language not in an embarrassing way.
You mentioned your son's education in this talk today. Could you please talk a little bit more about the differences that we have between Ukrainian educational system and the British, something that you as a mom and as a teacher notice and you can highlight here?
Yeah, there are so many points, honestly, to talk about. And I do like the system of education here. Again, not criticizing our Ukrainian system. I think our Ukrainian system shapes up more knowledgeable students in a way. Yeah, because let's say if we compare maths, the program and the curriculum is stronger in Ukraine than in here. So definitely we're doing something right. That's for sure. But the fact that so many students in Ukraine don't like school and they do home assignment with tears, parents cry, children cry, and they all do home assignment like that, is not the greatest thing. And it's something that I don't miss, honestly speaking. Speaking of home assignment from here, so this is one of the most, I would say, drastic differences is just the home assignment system, yeah? In primary school, they don't really get much. They get some home assignment for a week, yeah, and then they need to submit it, for example, next week rather than next day, which makes it much easier because if you have, for example, a birthday party today, that's fine, but then you will work harder tomorrow, yeah? In Ukraine, no matter what, come rain or shine, you study, yeah, you work, which is on the one hand great because you end up more responsible, probably. On the other hand, you end up more stressed, yeah, so I think there should be somewhere this golden middle. Here in high school, of course, they have more home assignment than in primary school. But again, it is all very nicely structured and planned. Everything is very digitalized and all home assignments is on a platform. And you can see the deadline for it. And it's never a next day assignment, never a next day assignment. So you always have at least a few days to cover a task. And parents also have the access to this platform and you can see it, yeah? And the main thing is that there is more responsibility that is put on students, on pupils, right? Rather than parents. Yeah, because in Ukraine, again, I remember our experience doing home assignments and everything. It was me who was monitoring, okay, we need to do this and then this and then this. And I was the one who had to explain that we need to sit down and do tasks, Here, no, it's more of their responsibility because they have a very clear system of rewards and punishment. That is, if you don't do your home assignment, you will get a detention and you will stay 40 minutes or an hour after school. And it works very, very systematically and very, well, neatly, I would say, right? So there were a few occasions where he either forgot to do the task or he didn't think that he got a task or something like this, and he got a detention and he stayed after school, which he was not very excited about. So next time he double checked it, 3 times. before actually going to school. So I think this is something that they do greatly, yeah, that they put all this responsibility on students. And I've already mentioned sustainability, which is great. I think that it's not just a separate topic. Yeah, today we're going to talk about environmental protection. No, it's intertwined in the curriculum. In primary school, I remember till this day, they had this topic about traveling and tourism, which was linked, again, they do CLIL, right? So they have a topic which is intertwined in geography and history and English and maths and everywhere. So they did something in geography about traveling and tourism and countries. And then in English, they wrote an essay about their thoughts, how traveling impacts local areas, yeah? Whether it is a good thing that it brings investment and money and everything, or a bad thing, because tourists also bring litter with themselves, right, and everything. So it was really nice, yeah? They do a lot of writing here, but writing is very guided, and teachers spend a lot of time actually planning it all out so that the students are prepared and they know what they're expected to do, how to start, how to finish, how to develop their thought, and this is great. Yeah, so just to sum it up, home assignment, then the system of rewards and punishment, which is really, really straightforward, and you can't really appeal, or say that, well, why? Yeah, it's just works the way it works. And then CLIL, and that's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah. Differences are striking, actually, huge. Yeah, lots of things that we can borrow in our Ukrainian system. All right, and when you're not teaching, what practices and activities help you to recharge and maintain your well-being?
Yeah, well, speaking of traveling for sure, and just reconnecting with nature. I find a lot of peace just being somewhere in the nature, and sometimes being alone. I think I need two ways of boosting my energy. Sometimes I need people, right, and socializing, and this is where this conferences and everything comes in help, because it's not only about professional development, it's also about friendships, right? Because there are some people who I get to see, let's say, once a year or just twice a year, and this is where we meet, yeah? And it's also about, socializing. But then afterwards, you definitely need a bit of alone time and silence mode, just not to talk with anyone, and just go somewhere to the lake or river or the sea. We live, well, within, doable distance to the sea. And sometimes just, go and walk there with my son or play something outside, or just being outside, just getting some fresh air and not having people around. So yeah, need a balance. And traveling, definitely. Be it somewhere close to you, just like a day trip. Going on a day trip, I find extremely, charging, because you get to learn something new, you change the scene, you change the atmosphere, or going somewhere further is nice as well, of course.
Right. Yeah. And finally, I have here a small quiz for you. I'm going to give you two things, and you need to choose this or that. It's kind of, would you rather do this or that? Yeah. So you just choose and tell me what you prefer. So do you prefer teaching online or offline?
Online. Do I need to comment?
You can comment briefly, yeah, as a comparison.
Yeah, I've taught offline for a very long time, which was great, because it's amazing to be actually in the same classroom with people. Yeah, to have to feel this atmosphere and vibe. But then teaching online gives you so much flexibility, and you can be anywhere in the world, right? And keep working. Yeah, this was probably one of the greatest delights, actually, when we moved here, that I didn't need to go and look for a job, right? Because I had a job. I just took my laptop with me. So I think it gives you more opportunities. Next question.
It's next one. Do you prefer teaching A1 students or C1 students?
C1, absolutely.
Would you rather attend a workshop or lead a workshop?
Both. Probably at this point, lead, deliver a workshop, but both, absolutely.
Which one do you prefer, TESOL or IATEFL?
IATEFL. IATEFL, well, both of the associations, of course, are very similar, and their aim is the same, to provide professional development opportunities. I think with IATEFL is a bit, they have a bit of a clear website and all the opportunities. Once you become a member, you have the access to loads of webinars every month. And what is also great at IATEFL is that they have special interest groups. And when you become a member of IATEFL, you can choose the group that you're interested in. For example, assessment and testing, or technology, or materials writer, or exam preparation, or English for specific purposes, or business English, for example, the member of which I am, for instance. Yeah, so you can choose that. And then in that special interest group, they have their own events that you have access to. So I think it's just very rich in the authors.
Right, and a couple of things about your free time. Would you pick a book or a film to watch?
First a book and then a film. I like reading a lot, but of course I like Netflix, watching Netflix and things like this. But if there is something that is both written and then screened, I really like to read it, because if I enjoy the book, I want to prolong this experience, you know. And then to watch something, it kind of gives you a second breath or something, and then you can compare whatever you had in mind with the author, with the screenwriters and directors' interpretation. So that's great too.
Mm-hmm. Would you rather go to the ancient castle or visit a contemporary art gallery?
Ancient castle. I like history, and I think I've had more interest in history since Russian invasion, as sad as it may sound, right? Because now you want to learn all of the, you know, connections and everything, why one thing triggered another thing. And we see that it's all so interconnected, not just in Ukraine, yeah, or Russia and Ukraine, right? There are so many things and similarities, even in terms of history, let's say here in Britain and British Empire and their relationship with Scotland and Ireland and Northern Ireland. So, for example, being based here, we used every opportunity to go to any historic place just to learn a bit more about history and why people like or don't like each other these days, for example. So yeah, definitely history.
Mm-hmm. And on a final note, would you prefer mountains or beach?
Seems like an easy question. Beach near the mountains. I love the mountains, so probably the mountains, but I also enjoy being near the sea, of course, because it's so powerful and it's so recharging, honestly. And just a day near the sea, even if we are not swimming there, for example, here we don't really have much opportunities, you know, to swim in the sea, but we can definitely go there. It's half an hour away, and you can just, you know, hear the sound of the waves and everything, and it's definitely charging. But the perfect, let's stay optimist and think of the perfect perfect world, right, where there is the sea near the mountains. Why not?
Good. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. You are really very experienced, and you have a huge, lots of knowledge here about all these conferences, and you can actually recommend lots of things for people who start their career, a teaching career. And for me, actually, it sounds so inspiring. I just want to finish our talk and to Google some conferences which we have nearby here and just go and attend. So motivating. Thank you so much.
I can tell you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's been a pleasure to talk as well.